Welcome back to another episode of Life After the Show. Now, as always, you guys know what we do here. We talk about the Yankees, right? And we've been talking a lot about what they aren't doing. But what they are doing right now is they're in a stare down with Cody Bellinger and Scott Boras. Now, everyone knows if you've been following, Cody Bellinger's been offered a pretty big contract. I think it's been 5 years, $160 million. And, they're talking about a pretty large signing bonus. So, with the signing bonus, he could avoid the state taxes in New York and probably get a decent chunk of that. And they're talking about some opt outs. And I don't think that there's any deferred money. So, at face value, that contract's really good. But Cody Bellinger, for whatever reason it is, does not seem to want that deal. Now, I don't know if he's not happy with the amount of money or if he's just looking for more years. I mean, obviously, more years will mean more money, but I don't know. I don't know if Cody's waiting for some of these other teams' off seasons to take shape and make his decision and, maybe wait it out and see if the Mets give him something or the Blue Jays or, maybe he's just looking to start a bidding war. But what we do know is the Yankees are standing pat right now. And I feel like I've seen a lot of information regarding the Cody Bellinger stuff continuously getting leaked on the internet. And I can't I can't imagine that's good for them, right? And there's a few reasons why I say that. I feel like one, it would really upset Cody Bellinger and Scott Boras that everything that they've been discussing contractually, years, money wise, whatever, is finding its way onto the internet because at that point they're using public perception to try to shape the way that this negotiation process can go. And look, one party is putting the information out there, whether it's Cody's camp or whether it's the Yankees. I can't imagine that it's Cody's. Now maybe there's a world where it is where they're just trying to put some of those numbers out there to like let the other teams know where they stand. But I feel like if I had to guess, and this is not me trying to stir anything, but if I had to guess, I think it's the Yankees in this case. I think that the Yankees are potentially putting it out there. And then here's the other side of it. So not only do I think that it would bother Cody Bellinger and Scott Boras, but I can't see a world where putting the numbers out there is good for the Yankees in terms of allowing the other teams to be able to see exactly what it is. Now, obviously, I don't know exactly what goes on behind the scenes. Like, I don't know if when Scott Boras and whoever he's representing, whenever they're talking to these teams, I don't know if they directly mention the teams and say the amount of years and the numbers. I don't know if there's like good faith in that. Like, I don't know, but I feel like if the Yankees name is being attached to all of these contracts, that it's not going to be good for them because it just goes to show that, okay, there's another team out there that knows exactly what the contract is, and all they have to do is probably up the offer. Because look, as we saw with Kyle Tucker, he took the biggest deal. That's what it comes down to, I think, in most of these cases, right? Is that the player wants the most money. Now, sometimes they might take less. We know that Aaron Judge took less to be a Yankee, but I don't know if that's going to be the case for everyone else that the Yankees fans want to be on their team. So in this case, I feel like Cody's looking for those extra years, wants the extra money, and that it's just probably not in the best interest of the Yankees to keep leaking this stuff because we know that Cody's at the top of their list, right? We don't know anything about what they're going to do if the Yankees don't get Cody. Now, we've seen some names that they float out there, Harrison Bader, Austin Hayes, and then obviously we know internally they have Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones as the options if they don't get Cody. But, outside of that, it's like, there's two directions you can go really. You go with Cody, you go with Cody and maybe a few other free agents, or you go with your internal options and you just see what you've got. And like, look, I don't want to be the guy, but like I feel like personally with the internal options, there's a few too many question marks surrounding Spencer Jones for me offensively. Now, I know that his ceiling is really high and that obviously people say that he plays good defense. And look, everybody's enamored at the power. The power is what people want to see, but the strikeouts that come with Spencer kind of freak me out. You know what I mean? Especially when we're talking about a player that would be making his major league debut and be on a team that so desperately needs production right from the jump. You know, Obviously, there's times whenever we see some of these prospects debut and they just hit the ground running and they really just tear it up the first like week or two, And I feel like a lot of that has to do with the fact that some of these players that make their debuts are they don't have a big scouting report on them. So it takes a little bit of time for some of these teams to develop like a way and a method that they're going to go about these players. But as time goes on, your strengths and weaknesses just start to blatantly show. So I'm a little worried with Spencer Jones more than I am with Jason Dominguez. Now, I don't know what Spencer looks like defensively in left field. We all know that every other outfielder that plays left field for the Yankees seems to do better at a different spot than they do in left. So I don't know if Spencer's going to have those problems. We won't know until we see him out there. But I don't see a world necessarily where Jason Dominguez has made leaps in terms of how good his defense is going to look off the jump. Going back out there because, as I've said in the past, there's nowhere in this world, as a stadium goes, that Jason Dominguez can replicate what left field's like for the Yankees. Now, I said it, but obviously weather is different, and they can't just store him in the Bronx and allow him to work on his defense all offseason. But he should have been in New York playing left field all winter if they were able to, hitting him fly balls or putting the machine out there or just doing something to make him feel like that's actually his home. You know what I mean? Like that's what it comes down to, is that these players that play left for the Yankees, in most cases, they're not typical left fielders. Some of them are center fielders, or they come up as a center fielder, but they're not a true center fielder. And left field can expose exactly how hard it is to play in that stadium. So as far as defensively goes for the Yankees, I don't know what it's going to look like. Offensively, we kind of have an understanding of what Jason could look like, but Spencer's the wild card here. So if the Yankees don't get Cody Bellinger and they want to go internally, we'll be following that. I'll be following it. I'm not gonna put the cart before the horse and say that they'll do good or say that they'll do bad. I think it's a situation where you have to let it unfold and just see where it goes, because that's something that the Yankees don't always do, is they don't always let it fully unfold. So you would like to see Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones get that full opportunity. And if Cody doesn't sign back there, you very well could have that. Maybe if Cody doesn't sign back there, they get a platoon bat, maybe a Harrison Bader or an Austin Hayes to, kind of be that righty in the lineup and be the guys that, offset the way that the pitchers are on the opposing teams for the days to come, but we'll see. But here's the thing, right? Going back to Cody, I just don't really know the direction of this team, because you see the Cody stuff, you really see that there's not a not a true structure of this offseason, right? And I don't think that we're ever going to get the answers as far as like what actually happened for the Yankees to be in this position right now. I feel like, thinking about it, that the Yankees are probably like a little caught off guard with the way that this offseason has gone, because for whatever reason, it seems that either players don't want to go there, or the Yankees don't want the players to be on their team. And so one of the two might be true, or they both might be true, or maybe they're not true. I don't know. But for some reason, the Yankees are having a hard time getting players in the Bronx, or they just don't want the players in the Bronx. So I don't know why that is. We'll find out as time goes on, maybe, or maybe we won't. It'll just be a mystery that is never solved, and who knows? But as far as I know, Cody Bellinger's still out there on the market, and the Yankees are talking about standing pat. At least that's what the beat writers that the information is being relayed from are saying. So I think that's risky. I think that there's something to be said about that. I mean, like right now, I feel like if I were to put it in like a blackjack form, like the Yankees are hitting on 20. That's what it feels like. They're not afraid to hit on 20 now. What I mean by that is either they're going to hit 21 or they're willing to bust. And so I don't, we're going to find out. We're going to find out if that 21 rolls out or if they bust. And so I just, guys, I'm being serious. I'm not even trying to be negative. I just don't know how to honestly feel about this whole Cody Bellinger situation, because like the contract is a really good one, but Cody obviously sees his value higher, or maybe he's willing to thug it out and just wait it out. And obviously, like I'll be straight up with you guys, because as I see the comments roll in the comment section, part of me feels like there's some disdain towards Cody right now. And look, I know better than anybody how quick the tides can turn, right? You can go from being a player that the fans love to being a player that the fans absolutely ream on whenever you struggle. And I don't want to see a situation with Cody come about where it's like, hey, we loved this guy the 2 years that we had him, but for years, three, four, five, six, seven, however many he gets, if he comes back to the Yankees, we feel a type of way about him because he drug out our offseason so long. And I don't think that the blame as far as how the offseason is going is fair to put it on Cody. He plays a small part in it, but the Yankees obviously could have pivoted in a different direction. And maybe they're looking for options in these future free agent classes, or maybe because we keep seeing some stuff about how they're all over the trade market. Maybe they're working the phones, and maybe they'll be able to go and pick one of these players off of one of these bad teams and bring them over to the Bronx, and it'll mitigate the fact that they don't get Cody, and we'll see. But I mean, there's still a lot of pieces to fill, or a lot of roles to fill on this team, if you ask me, because this team is like, they're built to compete, but are they built to actually win the World Series is the thing, because look, you guys aren't watching the season just for them to be the best in-season team. I mean, look how good Aaron Judge did in the regular season for many years, and look how much the sentiments of him not doing well in the postseason followed him, right? I feel like this was the first time in his career where fans were finally like, he did it. He actually did it, and he carried that team in the playoffs for in a lot of moments, had some really big hits. So we see how quickly the regular season stuff gets thrown out. And if a guy that's hitting 60 homers and hitting over 300 with an 1100 OPS during the regular season isn't the most liked guy in the playoffs, then look, it don't matter who you are. You're going to get booed. You know what I mean? So I don't want to see Cody Bellinger like drag this out and catch some heat from the fans the second that he struggles. Or maybe the fans will just be over him before he even jumps in and not even care how he does. I mean, it's that's the dangerous part about using the public in the Yankees case. If they're the ones doing this, is they do create this like public backing of being like, dude, we're offering you a good deal, and this is all on you. And I don't think it's fair to just put the blame on one person as a player. You can put the blame more on the front office and the ownership, because they're the ones that structure how they're going to go about these deals and who they're going to go after. So I think that if we're seeing it play out the way that I'm seeing it right now, it's that Cody's waiting for something else to happen. The Yankees have offered him 5 years, and I've seen from many people that there's not really a reason to believe that there's a bigger offer out there. And I don't know if there will be a bigger offer out there, but I mean, I think Steve Cohen is still the biggest player in this game. He's somebody that I feel like, a gust of wind could hit him and change his mood, and he could all of a sudden be like, hey, I'm going to offer Cody $40 million a year. And then Cody's like, bam, hit the jackpot. I'm going to go be a Met, and we'll figure it out from there. And the rest of my career is probably taken care of if he got the deal that he wants. Maybe it'll be shorter years. I don't know. I mean, I feel like Steve Cohen is just I mean, he's one spike in his mood away from ruining the Yankees season potentially. And I have to believe that he would absolutely love to do that. You know what I mean? Especially with the way that guy hops on social media and just stirs the pot, and he stirs it in whatever direction he wants. And so I feel like he wants to change the narrative. I think that the Yankees should kind of operate in the same fashion in terms of changing the narrative, because the narrative this offseason has been, what are they doing? What's going on? So like, I feel like unless you want to just answer these questions all season, you got to do something, because it is still time. What is it? It's January 19th right now. There's still plenty of time to make a move, but a lot of the really big offensive players have came off of the board, so you can't really expect that you're going to go out and get a big fish offensively unless you trade for them. There's still some really good pitchers out there. I think the Yankees could still benefit from getting another arm, whether that's a free agent signing or maybe it's the Freddie Peralta stuff, because social media has got the Yankees linked to him constantly. So I think that if we're thinking of a world where Freddie Peralta becomes a New York Yankee, it makes me wonder: can the Yankees get Freddie and Cody Bellinger at the same time? Obviously, that would significantly increase the payroll. I don't know what Freddie's set to make this year, but it would be for 1 year, and maybe they'd extend him. I don't know. They don't really do the extensions mid-season, so I mean, it would likely look that he'd hit free agency, and then maybe if he loved his time there, he'd come back. But I don't know. I don't know. I'm not feeling like they're gonna really make a big splash outside of Cody, if that's the case, if that's who they get. Maybe they could get another one of these pitchers to a short-term deal, because I think that they believe that they've got some guys down in their minor league system, arms-wise, that will be ready to go here in the next few years and be serious threats for the future. And, I think that the Yankees pride themselves in bringing homegrown guys into the big leagues and keeping them there for a while. They've done it pretty well with some of the pitchers, you know? They seem to be able to develop pitchers better than they do hitters. And that's not to say that the hitters don't do really well, but I just think that as far as how many pitchers I can name off the top of my head that are having really good careers outweighs a lot of the hitters because hitting is harder than pitching, I think, you know, and I don't think that they've got the hitting philosophy stuff down. Whether that's their hitting philosophies, whether that's the players that they go out and get. I mean, one way or another, they struggle in that department as far as putting guys out there that you can really rely on them at all times. I mean, I feel like Aaron Judge is the only guy that they can rely on. And my hot take with that is that the Yankees didn't help Aaron Judge get to where he's at offensively. They really didn't. I mean, maybe Aaron would say publicly they did, but I don't believe that. I really don't, just considering the fact that I know how much work he's done with Teacher Man, or I don't know his name off the top of my head, behind the scenes. And obviously, it's not even fully behind the scenes because it's out there. So I think that they got to go out and find a player that really fits the mold of being somebody that's gonna be there for a while and can actually help that lineup. It can't be a player that's just home run or bust and, you know, maybe a big dude that can't play the outfield or infield super well. I mean, they got to find somebody that creates some turbulence on the base paths or something. A game changer. Cody's that game changer, you know? Harrison Bader's a game changer in regards he can play defense really well. He swung the bat pretty good last year, but it's got to be a sour taste in the fans' mouths to know that we went from Cody to Harrison Bader. And again, I don't say that to throw shade at anybody. I just say that because we're talking about two completely different types of players. One of them is a guy that can play all three outfield spots. Actually, I mean, I'm sure Harrison can play all three too. So both of them play all three outfield spots. But then the other one can play first base, and then the other one's left-handed and hits lefties really good. So it's just like, yo, with the short porch, makes sense there. Cody's going to have more offensive potential than Harrison Bader, and I think that the Yankees need that offensive potential in their lineup because outside of Aaron Judge, there's really not a lot of people to fully protect Aaron. And I guess Aaron can't protect Aaron, but there's not really people to protect Aaron. You know, Jazz will protect him, Ben Rice will protect him, but I just feel like they need somebody else in that lineup. So my whole thing with this offseason in the Yankees is I feel like they're kind of just throwing darts at the board, you know? And wherever it lands, they might go. And I don't know if they have a clear rhyme or reason as to why they're going in the direction that they're going, but they're going in some type of direction. And we're going to see if it's a masterclass performance that they pull off. And if all along they just are thinking to themselves, like, these idiots have no idea what we have planned and we're going to get this done, or they're going to crash and burn. And then these idiots that are talking about it are going to just absolutely thrash them because then it goes to show that you actually had no direction of where you were going to take this team. So again, I don't think that right now they're driving in the direction that they want to go. I don't think so. I think they've got some I think they got some their ego is kind of getting in the way. I think that I think that they have to do whatever it takes to get Cody. And I say that lightly. I'm not saying go out pay him 40 million, but if Cody wants something that they're just not putting out in the public now, I'm okay at the thought of them not giving him 7 years is what I mean by that. But I think that if you got to give him a larger signing bonus or do something, because I heard Trevor May say this, like, the Yankees seem to be obsessed with Cody, and if you're obsessed, just give him a little bit more. I don't think it's worth it to let him walk. I don't think it makes your team any better to not get him. You got to have one big move this offseason, because if not, the season is it's not fully in jeopardy, but it's slightly in jeopardy. And we'll see. Maybe the Yankees can have all these players that struggled last year. Maybe they can all bounce back. Maybe they found something in Ryan McMahon, and Ryan's going to turn the corner and be that offensive player for them that they want him to be at third. And maybe Anthony Volpe comes back from the shoulder injury and he's just absolutely lights out. I don't know. Maybe Austin Wells comes back and continues to have his catching role be really well, and then the offense finds its way back to where the Yankees want it to be. And I don't know. Maybe they get Cody. Maybe they don't. Maybe they get Spencer and he hits 50 homers. And I don't know. Look, all I know is what I just said is there's a lot of maybes. And that's what you need to avoid. You need to have some type of belief that, hey, these guys are established players. And I know that's hard to do, but you have to find a way. Doesn't mean you have to go out and overpay for these people, but the direction that the Yankees need to go in is one that's consistent because they're a little inconsistent in a lot of areas, whether that's offensively, whether that's defensively, whether that's the front office's mindset. They're too inconsistent and they make fans pull their hair out. So I don't know if they're going to change that. Hopefully they do. Hopefully they figure out what they want to be as an organization here pretty soon because the cries are getting really loud in my comment section that these guys have no idea what they're doing. So maybe we'll get some answers here pretty soon and maybe Cody finds his way back in pinstripes, but if he doesn't, I expect you guys to be loud. And I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to be able to respond to calm that storm. But as the days continue to proceed, I'm following the Yankees under a microscope, and I'm right there with you guys in the trenches. So, as always, thank you for watching. And look, we're just going to keep this thing rolling because spring training is getting close, and I'm excited to provide a good product for you guys and ultimately just give you a different way to see the game. And if you like it, you like it. And if you don't like it, hey, water off a duck's back. Doesn't bother me. That's what you guys should know about me is that I'm okay with hearing what you guys have to say. I will continue to proceed. And if you rock with me, you rock with me. So thank you guys for watching. Send the video to anyone, like, subscribe, comment, do whatever you want. Thanks again.